Okay, part two, finishing public, public facing, and private. So a true private trust would be a step further beyond that. A true private trust would be established as a private contract to hold other trusts. It does not have an EIN number. It does not have a bank account, but it is the holding entity, if you will, of these other trusts. It could be like however you set up, there's a lot of different ways you could set it up. You could set it up as the administrative arm. You could set it up as the, true private estate. But there's always, I don't want to say always, very much of the time, there is going to be some agreement in commerce, if you will, with these trusts. I hear people say, well, it's a private trust. And again, it's just that we have hung on to these words and they have been shared and taught and repeated incorrectly. So we can have private trusts within our family of trusts, but they're going to serve a very specific purpose. They could be the trusts that hold gold and silver. They could be the trusts that hold artwork. They could be the trusts that hold intellectual property and authorship. They can hold jewelry, right? Like they can hold physical assets that aren't tied to fiat. Like fiat is fake. Fiat is commercial. So anytime we're dealing with fiat, we're kind of in that gray area. Yes, it can be a private trust. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze. Yes, it could be a private trust, but then it enters that gray area if we get an EIN for it and we get a bank account. So let's use these terms correctly so that we have a true comprehension for what we're holding, okay? And this comes because I was talking to a girlfriend this morning and she said, can I remove my ex-husband off of our private trust? And I replied to her and I said, does it have a bank account? Does it have an EIN? Because it's, we're using these words without a clear picture. And that's my focus here as I create my own world for my family, myself, but also as I help architect these systems for others. Do we have a clear picture? And oftentimes I tell you guys things you don't want to hear. Sorry, I'm going to keep doing it. I'm not going to bullshit you because I've been bullshitted a lot over the last, going on 7 years now. I have been bullshitted a lot by a lot of people who have made a lot of fucking money lying to people and reiterating, parroting, echoing things they have heard, but things they can't back up, things that they haven't taken the time, maybe I should say it that way, things they have not taken the time to truly grasp, to truly have the depth of knowledge to even be talking about it. People go around all the time and I worked with a man who did this, and it was what drove me away. He talked a lot about the systems, how we got here, but the depth of knowledge as far as like it was all theory, like there was no depth of knowledge of how to, like, okay, great, what do we do about it? What do we do? Got it. We're screwed. We're enslaved. We're this, we're that. What do I do about it? And that is something that I have found in my journey is has been kind of the elusive thing that people use to just make money. Well, you just do this, you just do that. If you just do a 1099, you're going to get credits on this, you'll see them on the IRS website. Okay, but you can't pull them out. Do they tell you that? No, they don't. They just say, well, here, you just do a 1099. 1099 is just an informational form. That's it. That's all it is. You are informing the IRS of private funds being transferred back and forth. Why would you do that as a living man or woman? And like, I mean, there is a reason. There's actually plenty of reasons. If you want to somehow show that you're making private, you have private earnings. Okay, you could use it for that. I do know several people who have used 1099s, 1099 NEC or miscellaneous, from their trust to the trustee. So if I needed to show that I made $25,000 or whatever, these trusts could issue me 1099. I could take those 1099s then and use those 1099s in place of a W-2. However, though, now I'm also I'm kind of dealing with the IRS. It's like a gray area. Then am I doing a 1040? I would strongly recommend nobody ever filing a 1040. Because the IRS doesn't match these things up, against the fear that they have instilled in all of us that the IRS is so on top of shit. They are not on top of freaking anything. I just spoke to the IRS the other day and they're like, oh, well, we don't have any record of that. I'm like, well, somebody at the IRS signed and I have a green return receipt right here. It says received IRS, whatever date it was. Yeah, we don't have any record of that. Well, where the hell did it go? And why the hell did someone sign that and then not enter those documents that were sent into the Social Security account? Like, what's going on there? So the IRS is absolutely the most unorganized thing in the whole world. Racketeering, embezzlement, like whatever correct terminology there. It's just, I do truly hope that the IRS goes away from the US person side, the whole 1040s, and it will remain for the 1041s. That will be fantastic. And that's where we should all be operating anyways. So there's my tangent. You guys who have listened to me know that I go on a lot of little side quests and come back to the main point here. So when we're talking about public versus private trust and a true private trust versus a public facing trust, there's nuances there. So really comprehend what you have. Something else I want to mention. I think every trustee that I've worked with over the years has said, cool, I've got my trust. Now I'm going to read all these different books. And I can say that's not going to help you. Read your trust. Read the trust that you hold. Learn your trust. Learn the sections of the trust. That is going to be the best time spent. Doesn't matter what other people wrote because all the trusts are different. What do you hold?